Hey everybody, welcome to Adapt or Perish. Before we get into it, I wanted to take a moment and acknowledge the day. This episode is being released on November 6th, which means that in the US at least, it's competing for your attention with something a little more important. So if you're listening to this on the 6th and you haven't voted, please press pause and go vote. We'll be here when you get back. If you're listening to this after the 6th, you know way more about how things turned out than I do right now. I can't know how every vote across the country is going to go, but I can only hope that we can all wake up on Wednesday feeling like we each did our part to take a stand against the hate and ignorance that's been doing its best to dominate the national conversation, and that our voices were heard. And if you need the mood lightened a little bit, this episode should do the trick. Lastly, before we get to Pete's Dragon, which is an utterly ridiculous thing for us to look at, let's talk about our next episode. This one's been promised for a while now, and it is now almost here. On Tuesday, November 20th, we release the second in our three-part series on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's greatest creation, Sherlock Holmes. We've already looked at The Hound of the Baskervilles, but this time we're taking a step back to look at 15 different depictions of the character. Some were wonderful, some were not. This is going to be an extra long episode, so if you need something to keep you company while you take a break from your family during Thanksgiving, this'll give you plenty. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections that you'd like to hear on the show, remember to email adaptorperishcast@gmail.com or tweet at us using the AdaptCast hashtag. And with that, on with the show. Disney's Pete's Dragon. Hello and welcome to Adapt or Perish, a podcast about adaptation. My name is Jeremy Latour.
And I'm Arielle Lipshaw.
How you doing today?
It's a brazzle dazzle day.
Oh, God damn it. So I guess we're just jumping right in. There's no time for banter.
That was banter. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. Oh, geez. Do you want to tell everyone what we're talking about today?
Jeremy made me watch a movie
I feel like that's an unfair
that I
characterization.
didn't like. No, we are talking about the classic Disney children's film, Pete's Dragon.
Yes.
And the less classic 2016 children's film, Pete's Dragon.
Right.
One is a musical, one is not.
So I think it's pretty clear based on the way you're talking about it, but was Pete's Dragon ever a movie you watched when you were a kid?
Never saw it. Knew nothing about it. Thought it was set in medieval times.
So tell me everything that you thought it was.
I think I thought it was The Sword in the Stone.
Okay. So like medieval dragons type thing.
That's what I knew about it. It was a dragon.
And what did you think?
Oh, I also thought it was animated. I did not know it was live action.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like you could be forgiven for thinking that.
Right.
Because if you ever saw pictures of it.
I knew what the dragon looked like, and
Right.
he was a cartoon.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's super fair.
Totally.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, too, that I really loved is, like, you found out before we started watching that that's not what it's about.
Yeah, it was a great surprise.
But you also thought, like, the movie was going to start out with Pete, like, discovering the dragon.
Yeah. Once you informed me, like, what it was, I was like, oh, this is going to be a story about a boy discovering a dragon. And
Like,
that was not what it was about.
No, that's already happened.
It was a story about a boy and his dragon wreaking havoc in a small town in Maine. What is your history with this set of films?
I fucking loved this movie.
Oh my God.
Like when I 100% grew up on this, I watched it so much. It was one of those things where like I watched it enough for one lifetime before I was 10, like by the time I was 10, and then didn't watch it again for 25 years.
Right.
Like
And then you watched it this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the whole thing all the way through in like literally 25 years.
Did you remember that it was 4 hours long?
No. Nope. Loved it. It never, at no point that I think I was ever watching it when I was a kid did I think that it was too long.
It's lengthy.
It is very lengthy.
Yeah.
But I think I know why. I think it's because I fast forwarded through a lot of the songs when I was a kid.
Okay.
I'm glad upon second viewing, like as an adult now, I realize how flawed this movie is.
I'm just saying, like, someone said, well, Razzle Dazzle is a thing, but I think there's probably already been a song called Razzle Dazzle. I know we'll say Brazzle Dazzle.
No, it's cool. We checked. There isn't one. It's too late.
So stupid.
It's too late. This is what we're doing. It's
All right,
Brazzle
here we go.
Dazzle. I think we should start off with some back of the box.
Great. When Pete, an orphan, and his best friend Elliot, an invisible green dragon, wander into the seaside village of Passamaquoddy, the townspeople think he's behind a slew of hilarious mishaps. But after a daring rescue, they change their tune and believe in Pete's fire-breathing buddy. Filled with friendship and fun, and featuring the Academy Award-nominated Candle on the Water, Best Original Song 1977, this family classic on Disney Blu-ray turns every viewing into a brazzle-dazzle day. And that's capitalized.
God damn it. I want to throw this out there here at the beginning. I might have already done it, but I feel like it's likely that I will do it at some point. I can't promise that I won't call Candle on the Water Candle in the Wind.
It'll happen at least once.
I'm going to.
No, that's fine.
I know I'm going to.
I also want to point out I
have a lot to point out from that, but go on.
I have a couple of other things to say on the back of the box here. The screenwriter has the most amazing name. His name is Malcolm Marmorstein.
But it's like Malmorstein,
no, it's
right?
Marmor Steen.
Oh, geez.
And then there is an outright lie.
Really?
Yes, because it says feature running time 88 minutes.
Oh, no, that's inaccurate. Can I see that for a second?
You may, yeah.
Is there like multiple cuts and we watched the long one?
Because the
Did
one
I make
we
you watch
watched
the extended one?
was well over 2 hours.
Huh.
Did we watch the director's cut?
So I have a note about this. I may have made you watch a very long version of it. We did not watch an 88-minute movie.
No, we watched a 140-minute movie.
It was no. It was 100. It was 2 hours and 8 minutes.
It felt longer.
So what I found out is that when it was released originally, it was released in a 2 hour and 14-minute cut.
That's what we saw.
That was their like roadshow cut. Then they did one that was 2 hours and 1 minute. That was like the regular theatrical cut.
Okay.
And then when it was re-released in the 80s, they did like an 88-minute cut.
That was not what we saw.
That wasn't at all. Like, we watched one that was definitely longer than that.
You're literally hearing us discover something and try to figure it out live on this show.
That just seems like bullshit. Like, we watched it, and when I popped it in, like when I put the disc in, I don't remember it saying, which would you like to watch?
No, it was
the one that's the right length or the one that's too long?
Is there more than one disc? It says 2-disc combo pack. Maybe the Blu-ray has one version and the DVD has another. We probably should cut a lot of this conversation.
No, this is all gold. But I will say,
I guess it's important if anyone is listening to this who's seen some 88-minute version of this movie going, what the F are these people talking about? The version we watched was well over 2 hours, I'm going to say again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I don't know if we should get into pacing issues right now.
No, let's save that for a minute. We got to talk about what this movie is about.
I think that's a pretty accurate kind of description of it.
There's a kid and a dragon.
Yeah, like, I think it gets ahead of itself. Like, it talks about the daring rescue. Like, the daring rescue, do you know what it's talking about?
I mean, is it talking about the part where the dragon lights the lighthouse light?
No, I don't think so.
What's the daring rescue?
No, I think it's talking about the like telephone pole. Do you remember the telephone pole that's going to fall and crush the mayor and like 3 of his constituents?
Yes, because it's like a rule of 3 joke that every time they come out of the town hall, like something bad happens to them. Like one time they fall in wet cement, and like one time they fall down the stairs. But the third time it's actually kind of dangerous because there's like a pole that's going to fall on them.
But then it does happen again later where the mayor like runs straight into Elliot. The dragon's name is Elliot, by the way.
Yeah.
Like runs straight into him and his cigar like gets crumpled because he ran into the invisible dragon.
Yeah, I remember that. Is that the daring rescue?
No, I think the daring rescue is when the telephone pole is about to fall on them and Elliot goes over and grabs it and pushes it out of the way.
I think the daring rescue is when he lights the lamp so the ship can come in from the sea.
I don't know, maybe, because it says after a daring rescue, they change their tune, talking about the townspeople.
No, it is because remember they changed their tune because suddenly they're all the fish. Like they think that the dragon's scaring away the fish, and then at the end they have a ton of fish, so they're singing like "Thank you, Elliot, for bringing home the fish."
I'm like suddenly realizing as we're talking about this that, goddamn, my childhood.
Yeah.
Why did I love this movie?
I really don't know. And I feel like there are many properties that if we got like 15 minutes into the podcast and we were this confused about the plot, we would be really frustrated and mad.
Like, that's the thing. I don't think we're confused about the plot. Like, I understand what happened in the whole movie.
No, I think we're confused about the plot.
No, I'm confused about what the plot means or what the point of any of it was. I get what happened. Like, I watched it.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about this movie.
Okay, we are. Should we? I think we should go through the plot a little bit.
Do you want to go through like song by song?
I think so.
Except none of the songs advance the plot in any way, so that's not going to be helpful.
I don't think that's true. I think a couple of them do.
Okay.
Most of them don't. You're right. So that you said that to me, and I asked you to repeat it for the show.
Okay.
But what was the thing? What was your big criticism of the songs in this?
There are a large number of songs in this musical, and we talked about this a little bit with the Little Prince musical, which is that the point of a song in a musical, you can do a couple of different things, but the main two focuses are to advance the plot or to give us more information about a character.
Right.
And my impression was that none of the songs did any of those things. It was more the style of someone would say something, they would sing a song that repeated what that person had to say, and then the plot would continue.
Sure.
So that was sort of my feeling about this movie. We did have a conversation last night over which was a worse musical, Pete's Dragon or The Little Prince, the musical. And I think I came down on the side of The Little Prince was worse because both of them actually, they had some similarities in that there was a sort of mysterious boy with an animal friend. But I would say that the thing that Pete's Dragon has going for it that The Little Prince did not is that none of the relationships that adults formed with Pete had the implication of being inappropriate in any way. They were all 100% above board.
And if you haven't listened to our Little Prince episode, I recommend it.
Yeah, go for it.
If only to have more context for what the fuck we're talking about. This is what I want to try something.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk about like who's in it and different aspects about it. But when we go through the songs,
yeah,
I was thinking maybe we could try judging them both on their technical merit and also whether they actually belong in a musical.
Okay.
Because even if they're not great, at least some belong in a musical.
Yeah.
So let's go through all these songs, and I think this will be a good way to talk about the plot and all the people who are in it and different aspects of it.
That's great. Can I talk about the opening shot of the movie?
Absolutely.
Because this was actually the most impressed I was by this movie. It was all downhill from there.
Oh, no.
We see a little boy, presumably flying through the trees, on wires like unto Peter Pan.
Yes.
You can kind of see the wires.
Oh, throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. And this was clearly their big budget shot because it's the one time we see Pete riding on Elliot when Elliot is invisible. Elliot is the dragon.
Yes.
I don't know if we mentioned that.
We did.
And I said to you, oh, it's in media res. This is actually cool. This has subverted my expectations.
I want to just be clear. Before you said that, you said, oh, Pete can fly?
I was saying something that made me sound smart, and you said something that made me sound dumb.
You had never seen it. I didn't blame you for that.
He does look like he's flying.
Yeah.
It's very Peter Pan-like.
It's like he's riding
effect.
an invisible broom.
Yeah.
It's really...
It looks like he's playing Quidditch with an invisible broom.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was nice because I thought at least half of the story was going to be about him discovering and meeting and taming the dragon, and that is incorrect. He already has the dragon, which... I would say means that they didn't have a lot of ground to tread with the plot. The plane had a short runway.
Well, they fill it up with a lot of
songs
and ostensibly a lot of conflict between a lot of the characters. Like I said, there's kind of two villains. Like there's two groups of antagonists that like all come together, which I think is like more than they needed. Like, arguably, you don't really need any in a movie like this.
I mean,
and
arguably.
when we talk about the remake, we'll get into that in different ways that I think the remake improves upon the original. But I do think there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of characters and a lot of different things that people want.
Okay.
So let's start with this first song.
Okay, so we're introduced to Pete and the dragon. Pete comes in. He's riding on the dragon. Dragon is invisible. They're being chased by people. We start to hide. We don't know who.
Yeah.
But Pete is a tiny little child with lots of hair and teeth, and he's very cute. And he does not sing well.
So Pete is clearly hiding from someone.
Yeah.
And then the scariest thing that has ever happened in a movie that you've ever seen happens.
It was literally a jump scare.
It's like worse than anything that happened in Jaws.
I freaked out.
So he's being chased by a family named the Gogans.
Yeah,
Which is Ma. It's like Ma and Pa and their two sons.
And it was like, they're like the worst caricatures of hillbillies that you can imagine.
Which, again, this takes place in Maine.
Yeah, that was one of my notes. I said, why do they have Southern accents in Maine?
Yeah, it's a little half-baked.
Well, it's they're like hill folk, but I don't know that Maine has a lot of hill folk.
Not that type.
No.
I'm from there, I can say that.
Yeah.
And so the Gogans are chasing after him. We haven't quite figured out why, and we get our first song,
Yes.
which is called The Happiest Home in These Hills.
Yes.
We'll have you sing in chapel. You'll be the apple of Mama's eye.
I'll tend to all your sewing and do your mowing, so just rely on me.
Dang, we know you're out there. It's late. We're waiting to share the happiest home in these hills. In these hills.
So it's very, like, we criticized the producer. This is going to be a weird episode where I feel like we reference a lot of our older episodes.
That's okay. I feel like that's increasingly going to happen as we go on.
But we talked about the producers.
Yes.
Which, not the 1960s, the 60s version, but the remake from the early 2000s. And one of the problems we had with it is that it's a movie, but it's shot like a stage musical.
Right.
And all the characters are like facing out and cheating out towards an audience that isn't really there instead
Yeah.
of being consistently pointed towards the camera.
This was that on a grand scale.
Yeah.
Because at least in the producers, like, the set is realistic, but in this case it was kind of just a soundstage that looked kind of like a swamp.
Well, and also the producers was done as a stage show.
Right.
This was
Wait, 'cause-
conceived as a movie.
Right, because I turned to you and I was like, wait, was this a stage? How is this not a stage play? And you were like, babe, how could they have done the dragon? And I was like, oh, I guess you're right.
And wait, he's not flying? That's what you're telling me.
He
He's
can't
not
fly.
flying.
He can't fly.
He
There's
can't
no
fly.
dragon. He's invincible. I can't even describe it. I loved this song.
Yeah, it's super fun. But this is one that I actually think belongs in a musical
it
because
was-
it does advance the plot.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in a movie, though, like how ridiculous and heightened it was. Like they were playing to the back row. I will say this. We're probably going to say this again.
This is the first time we're going to say
This
it.
is the first time we're going to say it. We're going to say this probably as every single new character is introduced. Every human being and animated dragon in this movie is giving it 100%.
Completely.
They are so dedicated. They are into it. They are in character.
No one just showed up.
No
one.
No, they are committed. They commit to the bit.
They're good. It advances the plot a little bit because we find out that this is like this crazy Southern hillbilly family who lives in Maine
For some reason.
on a farm. I don't quite know why they have a farm.
Yeah, don't worry about the farm.
Yeah, but they bought Pete and they want him to come home.
That's the whole plot of the play.
Like he is
I just said play. Like it's literally
Yeah.
I mean movie, but
like they own him and
Yeah.
they want him to come home.
they purchased him with money.
And the song is all ironic kind of stuff like, we'll be really nice to you when you
Just
come
like
home.
a family.
But they're also talking about like chaining him up all the time and making him work.
Yes.
So it's like there is no question why Pete is running away from these people.
Yes, even though they're clearly ridiculous because it is a comic song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, other than the jump scare.
Right,
It's
right,
not
right.
scary.
And it's like one of the brothers jumping out at the camera.
Yeah, it freaked me the fuck out.
And I feel like you could have a really long conversation, which I'm not going to have right now,
Yeah,
about
let's move
like
on.
about when he met Elliot, because clearly, like Elliot came to him after this, and there's also this thing that might come up again about how it's clear they're trying to set up Elliot as like kind of a superhero,
Mm-hmm.
where he finds children who needs his help and stays with them long enough until they're good, and then he leaves because the wind is calling him, and somewhere in the world is another kid who needs his help.
Yeah, you could say that.
Like that's in there. So there's all this kind of stuff that you don't really know about when he met Elliot, which I
Yeah.
actually think, to your point before, is I think that's actually a good thing in this.
Yeah.
I think it draws you in a bit more.
Yeah.
Because there clearly is a story that's already happening. You don't have to like meet all these characters and just assume like, well, why is their story interesting? Well, their story is interesting because this kid has a fucking dragon.
Yeah.
And these crazy hillbilly people are chasing him.
I do want to, just to be clear about the dragon, in case you haven't seen this and have never seen an image of what the dragon looks like, it's not a scary dragon. It's a real cute dragon.
He's adorable.
He's super cute.
He's real nice.
He's very dog-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a big fat belly,
Mhm.
and he's super goofy and playful,
Mhm.
and he has pink hair.
Big and
he's
goofy
not,
and Disney
He's
with
not
a-
Smaug.
No, he's not. No, not Smaug. So that leads us to our next song,
Uh-huh.
which is, I don't want to say the fucking title. Boo Bop 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 Bop, I Love You Too.
Oh, God.
That's the name of the song.
Yeah.
So they've escaped the Gogans, and this is the first song where we get to see Pete interact with Elliot, and we get to see Elliot for the first time, and he's big and green and cute. And the song, so what you were saying before, it doesn't advance the plot, but it does advance the characters.
Right, because we learn that they love each other.
Right.
Elliot and Pete are best of friends.
Mhm.
And just to be clear, Elliot doesn't speak. He makes beep bop noises.
I'm gonna play a second of what he sounds like from this song. The weird like sound you're about to hear is Elliot. It's weird.
So it's just a song, I love you because you're my best friend.
Like, it's one of these things where, yeah, I actually think it belongs in a musical because it's a nice, fun song at the beginning. We get to meet the characters. We get to find out what their relationship is with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
And then they reach Passamaquoddy.
Yes,
They
which
get
is
to
a
the
town,
town.
a little coastal town in Maine, a little fishing town in Maine.
Now, for those of you that don't know, Passamaquoddy refers to a tribe of American Indians who live in Maine.
Yes.
The Passamaquoddy tribe.
Right.
And there are a lot of things in Maine that are named after the Passamaquoddy tribe. There's Passamaquoddy Bay and other things. There is no actual town named Passamaquoddy.
Which is fine. There doesn't have to be.
There doesn't have to be, but I just want people to know they chose to name their town after a group of Native American people who are not represented in this movie at all.
No, that is true.
Which bothers me a tiny little bit. But also, this whole thing is shot in California. So, like,
yeah, Jeremy, the whole time we were watching it, every time there was a shot of the coast or the ocean, Jeremy would get up out of his seat and yell, "There's nowhere in Maine that looks like that."
nowhere in Maine that looks like that. It's like, this is Big Sur. This is the California coast.
Yeah.
Maine does not look like this. I felt very strongly about it. So they get to Passamaquoddy, and while they're in town, the dumbest fucking thing happens.
This was
Again,
your favorite thing.
I love this movie because I loved it when I was a kid, but I don't know that it holds up.
Yeah.
They go to town, and before they go into the town, they kind of expand on the idea that Elliot can become invisible.
Yes.
And I think this is true throughout the entire movie. I think you could literally cut 15 minutes from this movie just from eliminating moments that were designed only to be technically impressive.
Yes, and to make us laugh at the invisible dragon.
Well, that's part of it too.
Yeah, and the thing to remember about the sort of physics of Elliot being invisible is that he still exists. He's just invisible.
Right.
So if he does stuff like step in wet cement, what you would imagine would happen will happen. He's just invisible.
Yeah. And I want to say one quick thing about the technical aspects of this film.
Yeah.
It's technically fantastic. Like, I think the effects are great.
I'm not going to go so far as to say fantastic.
I'm really impressed by all of them.
Okay.
I think they were working really, really hard on this, and I think they did a good job.
I mean, listen, if all of the people on the tech end were as committed as the actors we saw on screen, they were also committed 100%.
I think it's one of those things where if anyone's ever worked in a work environment or an office where you're doing great work and the people around you are doing great work, but like your boss isn't good, that's kind of what this is.
Yes, I have been in that work environment.
Me too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are doing great work in this, but not everyone is, so it kind of drags the whole thing down.
Yes, the if the vision is not good, your work can be as good as possible as it needs to be. But if the vision is poor, it's only going to live up to the level of the vision.
Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I yes, that reminds me of a company where I used to work.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
Both the places where we work now, we like where we work.
Yeah.
So they go to town, and Elliot's invisible, but he starts like wreaking havoc.
A
in
lot
the
of
town,
havoc. Yeah,
which-
great. Like immediately, instantly, instant havoc.
And immediately, the like school teacher comes up to
Oh,
Elliot.
she's so mad.
No, comes
She's-
up to Pete.
She's very angry.
And she's, "What's going on? Why did you do that?" And Pete goes, "It wasn't me. It was my dragon, Elliot." And this is something that never hit me when I was a kid. But as an adult, what the fuck are you doing, kid? Like, you were the one who understood that dragons would freak people out. And immediately, like, he rolls on his friend immediately.
Well, and also reveals that he has a dragon.
Yeah.
Which was the whole point of making him invisible.
God damn it.
And the school teacher, like, is horrible.
Well, yeah, and everyone thinks he's lying.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks she especially is terrible.
She's the worst.
So all these things happen in the town, and Elliot makes himself uninvisible, and we are introduced to another one of our cast members.
Yes.
Hollywood royalty,
Sir.
Sir Mickey Rooney.
Yes.
Sir Mickled Rooney comes up as Lampy. Lampy, the lighthouse, he tends the lamp in the lighthouse.
He's the lighthouse
That's why they
keeper.
call him Lampy.
He's the lighthouse keeper.
And he's real cute in his little sailor sweater and little sailor cap. He looks in his 70s. I found out later he's in his 50s.
He had a hard life.
Hollywood was hard to this guy, but he sees Elliot
Yes.
and freaks out because he's drunk.
Yes.
Because he's a big old drunk. And he runs into the bar, and we get a song called I Saw a Dragon.
Oh, it's the longest song that you've ever heard.
It's like this movie
It's
has...
in like 3 parts.
Yeah. There's like
'Cause,
song
like, he
and then
sings
dance
and then they
number and
sing.
song.
And well, then his daughter comes in and they
Yeah.
sing, and then there's dancing on the bar, and there's beer everywhere, and it gets. What the fuck does this have to do with the dragon? It gets into
Nothing.
that territory.
Nothing. It has nothing to do with the dragon at
Yes.
all. Like Pete and Elliot are gone by this point. We don't even. We have
Well, they're
no
hiding
idea.
behind the bar.
The entire time.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's clearly a 3-hour dance number. But
so
yeah,
long.
there's a song, and then his daughter Helen Reddy comes in, Nora, and Helen Reddy, famous Australian singer.
Famously Australian.
Yeah.
Who has an Australian accent throughout the movie?
No, I think she does a good job.
No, she has a strong Australian accent throughout the movie.
I think her speaking American accent is very good. I think her singing American accent does have some moments where you can hear that she's Australian.
Fair enough.
She comes in, and it's just a big, dumb dance number that I feel like if it wasn't for the dance number, it would further the plot.
I mean, he comes in, he says, I saw a dragon, and then he starts to sing.
But you also find out about his character because everyone says he's crazy and a drunk. And so you find out what people think about him.
All right.
Has anybody seen my dad?
Please, my child, come in. Get off that street.
What's the matter?
Worst thing I ever saw in my life out there in the street.
What was it?
Oh, I don't want to tell you for fear it'll scare you to death.
Scare me.
A dragon, I swear I saw a dragon. His tail lashing, he'll be smashing every shop in town. With scaly feet, he'll crack the street and tear the steeple down. It's not some loony dream, I heard a scream from Sheriff Brown. It's true, oh what are we to do? It's true, oh what if he's in a stew? A dragon.
But then the dance number happens and it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Again, we may have watched some kind of weird extended version.
But if we did, it's the regular version. It's like the original version.
Yeah.
So that happens.
That happens. I feel really bad. What if this is somebody's favorite movie? And
It was my favorite movie. If anyone is listening to this and going like, no, this is a great movie, I'm one of you. I'm on your side. I loved this movie. And I just want to say, I came out of it still loving it. Like I had crazy nostalgia for this movie.
Was it
and
just
there's things in it that I love, but it is not above criticism.
Was it just the kind of thing where as we were watching it, you were seeing it through my eyes?
Not really, because I was still having fun with it.
That's fair.
Like, the things that are flawed about it were not things that I ever thought were good when I was a kid.
I mean, yeah. I mean, here's the deal. Like, there was stuff that was like dumb and weird, and that part was enjoyable. And then there was stuff that was boring, and that was where, especially as we started getting towards the end, I actually kind of fell asleep a little bit.
You fell asleep for like a minute.
Yeah.
I don't think you fell asleep for long enough that your opinion of this movie would be invalid.
No, because you yelled at me, and I said, babe, this is so slow paced. I am 100% on board. I know exactly what's going on.
And I agreed with you.
Yes. Anyway.
So then we come to our next song. It's a real sweet song because Nora finds Pete in the cave below their lighthouse.
Hanging out with his dragon.
Yep, she doesn't see the dragon.
Yeah.
And it's a really sweet scene between Pete and Elliot's really sweet, and Pete's really mad at Elliot for screwing everything up in the town, which is a whole bunch of bullshit because, as I said, Pete rolled on Elliot immediately. So he does not have a leg to stand on in this. Elliot has every right to be just as mad at Pete as Pete is at Elliot.
But Ellie just loves Pete so much.
He really does. And he tries to play like tic-tac-toe on his belly
It's real
with
cute.
Elliot. It's real cute.
It's sweet.
Nora comes down and finds Pete and says, hey, kid, you're alone and scared, and I'm a really good person. You should come up to the lighthouse so
she
we
also
can get
says,
some dinner
if
in
you stay in this cave, you, like a Thai boy soccer team will die because the tide is coming in.
Yes.
Yes.
That's not what she said.
No, but that's what it reminded me of.
Right.
Yeah.
So she takes him. They go up to the lighthouse.
They were fine, by the way. They were all rescued. It was really heroic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't mean that they would die. I
Yeah.
just meant like the danger was a similar danger.
We're just trying to stay current on Adapter Parish. They get up to the lighthouse. She fixes them a nice dinner, a nice warm dinner. And there's a song called It's Not Easy, which is a whole song about how it's not easy to do things alone.
Yeah.
And he like describes Elliot to her.
Uh-huh.
This is one of those ones where I think this song is really sweet, but it's not necessary at all, because everything that we've seen about the way that Pete's relationship with Nora is kind of progressing, this song is kind of unnecessary for that. Would you agree?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I don't remember this song.
That's fair. Moving on. Then we're introduced to our second set of antagonists. So there's the Gogans, and the Gogans are in the first scene, crazy Southern hillbilly family living in Maine on a farm for some reason. They're gone for now. They don't come back for a bit. Then we get two new antagonists.
We do.
One antagonist and one sidekick.
Yeah.
We get Doc Terminus and Hoagie, played by Jim Dale and Red Buttons.
That's correct.
Some of you may go like, even some of you who have seen this movie and not seen it in a long time may go, wait, Jim Dale? Harry Potter Jim Dale?
Yeah.
The voice of all of the Harry Potter audiobooks, Jim Dale?
Yes.
He's in this.
Do you know he holds the Guinness Book of World Records for most voices by one person in a single audiobook?
That's crazy.
He did 146 voices he did one of them. I don't know Harry Potter very well, so I'm not sure which books they are, but he did 135 voices for one book, and that was the record. And then he broke his own record and did 146 voices for another one.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Mickey Rooney in terms of this, but does Mickey Rooney give 100%?
110%.
Does Jim Dale give 100%?
Oh my God, 100%.
Does Red Buttons give 100% as Hoagie?
So many percents.
They're all great.
They're great.
They're great. They're so much fun.
Every one of them.
Doc Terminus is like this kind of classic snake oil salesman,
Yeah.
like quote unquote doctor
Yeah.
from the 1900s.
A charlatan.
Yeah, and he's selling literally selling snake oil
Yeah.
to people. And they reach town, and he gets a song called Passamaquoddy, which is fine in that it introduces the character.
I mean, basically what the song is him not being able to say the name of the town.
Yep.
That's the song.
Yep.
There it is.
Which is kind of it.
Yeah.
And he's a bad person.
Let's move on.
But there's that dude with pink hair.
There's an old man with pink hair because he's mad because Dr. Terminus's medicine, instead of growing his hair back, made his hair pink. But the great thing is that his hair is pink throughout the entire movie, including at the end. He's just like standing around with his pink hair.
Like, this movie is not without delight,
It was really good.
but it is too long and too boring.
Let's keep going.
Then we get some song I've never heard of called Candle on the Water.
This song made me mad.
Like, it's fine.
So, okay. So this was the one song that I was aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was a song called Candle on the Water from Pete's Dragon.
Yep.
I did not know who sang it,
Mm-hmm.
and I did not know in what context it was sung.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it is sung by Helen Reddy as Nora, singing to her lost love that was lost at sea, but she's like not willing to accept that he's gone.
I do want to see all of these songs rewritten by the Decemberists.
Yep.
All of them.
There is literally a December song called like "To My Own True Love, Lost at Sea."
Yep.
Here at Adapter Parish, we like the Decemberists.
Oh, in this household, we listen to the Decemberists.
Yes, we do. We walked down the aisle to the Decemberists.
Mhm.
Yes, we did.
Mhm.
Anyway, we're very off topic.
Doesn't matter.
Very off topic.
Yep.
Um,
Wait, you're saying this episode of the show is meandering and maybe longer than it needs to be? Please continue. So she's up on the top of the lighthouse.
she just sings a song.
To whom?
We don't really know.
Yeah, we do.
Her own true love lost at sea.
She sings it to Paul,
Yeah.
who's lost at sea. Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because this was something that I liked about Nora's character.
Yeah.
I actually think Helen Reddy's really good in this.
Can I say something I liked about Nora's character?
Please.
She wore pants.
Yeah, often in this movie.
Yeah.
I always envisioned her when I was a kid. Helen Reddy as Nora was always like 5'11".
Yeah.
She was always very tall because she's got a really big personality and she's really forceful.
No, I looked it up.
Oh, watching this now, how tall is she?
She's 1 inch taller than Mickey Rooney.
Who is?
He's 5'2".
He's 5'2". She's 5'3".
But she's
in
wearing heels.
the entire time. But I'm seeing scenes with her next to children, and even in heels, she's like a couple inches taller than they
Yeah.
are. She's a tiny little person.
Yeah.
She's very tiny.
What were you about to say?
One thing that I really liked about Nora is Pete sees the picture of Paul in the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
And she says, "Well, that's the guy I was going to get married to." And he says, "Well, why aren't you getting married? Where is he?" And she's like, "Well, kid, his ship went down and he's probably dead." And he says, "Well, I'll get Elliot to find him and all this stuff." And she's never seen the dragon. She thinks he's imaginary.
Right.
And her reaction to him I really like, which is like, "Look, kid, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very sad. This happened a while ago. I'm gonna go on living though. I'm fine. Don't talk about finding this guy that I love who's dead.
With your imaginary dragon.
Right. Like, that's not super cool right now. And she's not like spending the movie pining after this guy who's gone.
No.
She is her own person.
And her father, who's Lampy, I don't know if we made is that explicitly clear? Did we
I said
make that
it before,
explicitly
yeah.
clear? Okay. Has been saying to her, like, you know, you need to move on, you need to find another fellow and this and that, and she's like, I will when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, she's not saying to him, no, my heart is forever lost in the sea, in the waves. She's saying, when I'm ready, I will, and I'm not ready.
Mhm.
Like, it's very mature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as long as we're talking about Nora,
Oh, is it time?
I think it might be.
Okay.
Do you think the female character is underwritten? This is not a trick question.
No, I think that the criticism I have of this movie is the one I have of many movies, which is that there are far too few characters who are women.
Right?
That being said, I actually think Nora's written really well.
Yeah, and there are actually, I mean, there's Nora, there's the school teacher who's horrible, and there's Mrs. Gogan,
Yep.
Ma Gogan, who's also horrible, but very funny.
Yes.
So, like, we have multiple female characters in the movie. We were having a little bit of a debate about whether it passes the Bechdel test, and I think all of the characters, they do converse with each other, but it's always about Pete,
Yeah, always.
who is not a man, he's a boy. So I don't know if you get by in a technicality there.
I think boys are still part of the patriarchy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think she's underwritten because I would say that her character is defined by more than just the way that she's waiting for her lover. Like, I think there would have been a way to write this character that, as you said before, like, she was just pining and her life was entirely about the fact that she loved this man that was lost at sea. And in that case, I would say, yeah, she's underwritten. But I think she has a really full life with a lot of meaning, and she seems very happy, and she enjoys taking care of the lighthouse and doing all the work around the lighthouse. And her dad is a little bit shiftless, but like he's fine. Like, she takes care of him, but he's not a burden. He's very sweet. He's not abusive in any way. He's just
No.
he likes to take a drop from time to time. And then she has this child come into her life that she's like, wow, I just feel like they ask Lampy and Nora ask Pete to come and live with them permanently at the end of the movie. We're not quite there yet, but I think she thinks this could be my life and I could be very happy this way. And so then at the end of the movie, when, spoiler alert, Paul does come back from the sea.
Oh, it's a super happy ending for
It's
everybody.
a happy ending, and she's very happy to see him, and she's ecstatic, and, you know, they're still in love and whatever. But you get the impression that she would have been fine either way.
Yeah. Like, I mean, by the end of the movie, she has both her man and also technically like a son.
Yeah.
Because they adopt
They
Pete.
adopt him.
But yeah, you get the impression that she would have been fine without either of them.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's great. So, female character, not underwritten,
Oh, I'm glad about
which
that.
is amazing because this movie was not very good.
But let's play a few seconds of this song.
I'll be your candle on the water till every wave is warm and bright. My soul is there beside you. Let this candle guide you. Soon you'll see a golden stream of light.
It's her big number.
I have beef with this song. It's taken on its own a fine song.
It's
which,
okay.
of course, like they did a different arrangement of it with her, and it got some pop. Like it was on one of her albums,
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
was like one of her big hits.
It was like the Oscar-nominated song from
Yeah.
this movie.
It is.
It did not win.
I think like Hollywood song. It's just a song.
Yeah, it's
it
just
has
a
all
song.
the pieces of a song that a song should have. It has a chorus, it has a bridge, it has a verse and everything like that. It does nothing for her, or in fact, I think it undermines her character.
Yeah.
Because everything we've just talked about how she isn't just pining away after this guy, this undermines that, because this is a whole song about how she's pining away after this guy.
Totally.
It bums me out.
Yeah, it's
so
not good.
I think it should just be gone. Let's go back. Let's just make Candle on the Water a Helen Reddy song, and let's not make it part of Pete's Dragon. And I'm just going to stick a pin in Candle on the Water because it's going to come up later when we talk about the remake. But
Great.
please, what were you going to say?
No, let's go. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Then we get another song that serves no purpose because, like, people in the town are mad because the fish are gone, and it's kind of you're kind of led to believe that they're gone because of Elliot, but it's never really clear.
Yeah.
And
What-
so,
Is there a song?
yeah, there's a song called "There's Room for Everyone."
Oh, yeah, this is the one
Did you
Nora
fall asleep this
sings-
time?
No, I remember it. She sings it with the school children, and then
Yeah.
the school mistress gets mad at them.
And it's like taken on its own. It's a really nice song about accepting people.
But it has nothing to do with the plot.
Yeah, like I really like them.
literally nothing to do with the plot.
Like the lyrics are literally, "There's room for everyone in this world if everyone makes some room."
Yeah.
And I like that message.
I mean, it's very like free to be you and me. It's very like late 70s.
Totally. That freaked me out. How freaked out was I by the fact that this came out the same year as fucking Star Wars?
You were freaked out by that.
Like, this feels like it should have come out in the 50s or the
The
60s.
40s.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's real old fashioned.
And not in a, like, we're hearkening back to that time. Like, literally, it just doesn't feel
No, it's
good enough.
if you know what it feels like?
I don't like the implication that I just made that things from the 40s are not good. Things from the 40s can be amazing, but
You
they're
know-
maybe not as sophisticated.
Here's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's not Star Wars. It's the Star Wars holiday special.
Yep. I appreciate you. That's great. So this song happens and it's nothing.
Yeah, it's
It
nothing.
serves no purpose. It's
let's-
nothing.
There's no reason to dwell on it.
Then we get on to a song I actually really, really like that I think does further the plot and characters, which is called Every Little Piece.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we have our two villains. There's the Gogans. We haven't seen them again yet. But then we also have Doc Terminus and Hoagie. And Doc Terminus basically goes, wait, there's a dragon. They find out that there's a dragon.
Oh, can I say something about that?
Of course.
Yeah. So there's a scene that
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought was great
Mhm.
where these two idiots go down to try to find the dragon.
Which two idiots?
Lampy and Hoagie.
Wait, so Red Buttons and Mickey Rooney go to visit a dragon.
Yes.
That sounds like a recipe for sheer delight.
It is sheerly delightful.
Mhm.
So basically they go into the cave. They're really scared because Lampy has seen the dragon and he's been explaining how fearsome the dragon is.
Mhm.
The dragon, as we know, is not fearsome. He's super cute and
Right.
adorable and not harmful. So they're going into the cave and they're talking about how scared they are and how there's a monster and how he's evil and how he has fearsome teeth and claws and this and that. And Elliot wakes up and hears them and gets really scared because he thinks there's another monster because he doesn't think that he's the beast that they're describing because he's wonderful.
Straight adorable.
Yeah. And I said to you, as they were these two drunk idiots were describing the monster that they had seen, I said, "Oh, this is very Shakespearean." And you said, "What?" And I said, "No, this is like from The Tempest." Because when Trinculo and Stefano go to find Caliban, they're super drunk and they're idiots and they're trying to find this. They call him the fish. They're trying to find this monster. And then at the point where Elliot gets scared and like latches onto them, I was like, "Oh no, this is whoever wrote this scene has read The Tempest." Because there's a scene in The Tempest where they're all like, I'm trying to remember. They're all like in a bag together and Caliban is just as scared as the other two because he thinks they're talking about a different monster, but they're talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then something incredibly fucked up happens, which is they give the dragon whiskey and he likes it. And that also happens in The Tempest, that the two drunk idiots give Caliban a whole bunch of liquor and he's never had liquor before, which is why The Tempest is a colonialization metaphor.
Thank you.
It is.
I appreciate that.
There it is.
Yep.
But yeah, like moral of the story, this scene was extremely Shakespearean and there is
Which makes this movie great.
No, all I'm saying is
Message received.
there was no way that whoever wrote this scene had not read The Tempest.
When they wrote a great movie.
They-
I see your point.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think this movie is amazing.
Whatever, let's go on.
Okay. So we get this song Every Little Piece because by now Hoagie has seen the dragon.
Yes.
And he goes back to Doc Terminus and says, "No, there's a dragon."
Yes.
And Doc Terminus looks in one of his books and finds out, "Oh, wait a second. Every single piece of a dragon can be used for some kind of quote unquote medicine."
Yes, and I'm going to chop the dragon up and sell him for parts.
song.
Yes, and I turned to you and I said, honest to God, if someone said to me, I can sell you expensive skincare products that are made from dragon, I would probably buy them.
Probably at this point.
Yes.
Uh,
I spend way too much money on skincare products. If anyone has any recommendations, let me know.
I think, as we said before, I think Red Buttons and Jim Dale are giving 100% in this movie. This is a song just where they get to be super villainous. And it's real fun, except for the dance number that happens in the middle of it. Because, of course, this has a dance number too.
Big old dance number. And then they basically just sing the song again.
And then we move on to Brazzle Dazzle Day. Here's Brazzle Dazzle Day.
You know what? It's a brazzle dazzle day. So throw off the past and everything in it. That's the brazzle dazzle way. Enjoying your time from minute to minute. Running through the sand without your shoes on.
Shoes on.
Making sure that you don't keep your blues on.
Finding a boat we can cruise on.
It's a brazzle dazzle.
And we're back. You have now received all of the context that you need to know about Brazzle Dazzle Day.
Well, it's basically the context is Nora says to Pete, Lampy and I would like you to stay with us forever. And he says, yes, I would enjoy that very much. And then they sing a song.
Look how happy we are.
Yes.
I think this was the song that made you say to me, here's the thing, here's the thing about music in a musical. It has to either further the characters or further the plot. And this doesn't do either. That was what started the whole conversation.
Yes, I got a little mad.
This is weird for me because it's probably my favorite song from the movie because it was my favorite song when I was a kid and I never skipped it. But also, it is the one that is so easy to cut.
Yeah.
This serves no purpose in the movie whatsoever.
Yes, me and my dramaturgy degree got really mad about this song.
It's a stupid song that I love.
Yeah.
It's real fucking catchy. I really like it, but it's dumb, and I can't in good conscience recommend that it stays in the movie.
It's dumb AF.
Then we get to Bill of Sale. This is the song. This is the Pete's Dragon song about slavery.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. So the Gogans arrive in town.
Yeah.
They've been gone the whole movie.
Oh, yeah,
we've
no,
had an
they
hour and a
just-
half without the Gogans.
So much time has passed.
They arrive in town. Pete's on like a little dinghy with Nora and Lampy. And the Gogans arrive, and Ma Gogan holds out the bill of sale to show their receipt for buying Pete.
They bought him.
They bought him.
And so they want him back.
Which is one of these things where I feel like if you sat the writer down and said, wait, so I'm just curious, like, how is this a thing that ever happened? That you could just buy a child?
If you said, like, is Pete a slave?
And they go, oh, no. Of course he's not a
'Cause
slave.
What year is the set?
1900?
Okay.
It's like early
so
1900s.
You couldn't buy and sell a person.
No, not anymore.
Like, you should never have been able to, but
no,
it's
clearly not.
I think we've established before this podcast is anti-slavery.
I have a really, really hard opinion about buying and selling people.
Yes.
I'm against it.
You're not for it.
Not for it. I'm not for it. Not for it in the slightest. So they buy Pete and they have their receipt. And the whole song is basically it's that thing if anyone here has ever worked retail and had to deal with a return and the customer's like, "But I have my receipt." It's the I'd like to talk to your manager song, you know?
They bought him.
And it's basically her just going, "I have my receipt. You
I have
cannot
my
take this
receipt.
child. I
Yeah.
have my
I
receipt for
bought
this
him.
child."
I bought him fair and square.
And then Elliot shows up and knocks the Gogans in the water.
And they're all in the water.
And
everybody's in the water.
I feel like that's the thing about Elliot in this movie. I really like the special effects in it and like the practical effects. It just never makes any sense because Elliot is always like, well, if I'm invisible, I can only do one little thing here or there. But if I'm visible, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
So like when I'm invisible, I'll walk in the cement. But otherwise, I'm going to be very careful not to cause any problems. And when I'm invisible, I'll go through the water and knock these folks in the water. But I won't like do anything worse than that because I don't want people to know.
Yeah, and it was just like Nora's standing up in the boat and like shout singing at them about how she's gonna knock the block off and take Pete away.
She's a real strong character.
But she never says you can't possibly have a bill of sale because you're not allowed to buy and sell people, which
Never
I
once.
feel like would be the logical argument to their case.
Yep. They didn't think about this.
No.
This movie has a problem with logic. Moving on. Then there's actually no new songs for the rest of the movie.
Thank God.
Then comes the denouement of this movie. And the climax of this movie, if I had told you beforehand what the climax of this movie is, would you have believed me?
No.
Would you like to describe to our listeners what the climax of this movie hinges on?
Well, I believe I already did earlier in the episode.
Say it again.
The lighthouse light goes out,
Yep.
and the dragon has to relight it with his fire breath.
Yep.
The end.
That's it. That's it. So there's a ship coming into shore, and
Oh, except he's stuck. He's stuck, so he can't breathe very well.
yeah, there's like a big storm, and it's
that's
really
the-
windy.
That's the danger.
It is hella lame.
Wicked lame.
So lame. And I don't know, as a kid, I really liked it, but it doesn't hold up for me as an adult.
And there's these two guys in the sea going, "Oh, the lamp!
One of whom-
oh, the light!"
One of whom we know is Paul.
Is Paul, and the other one is Captain.
Just Captain. Just the Captain. Just Paul's Captain. And so then Elliot saves the day. And now by this point, I completely forgot. Like, also, our antagonists have all teamed up. So Doc Terminus and Hoagie and the Gogans have all
there's a
teamed
whole
up
plot. There's a whole plot.
to capture Elliot. And they get him, and they get like tarps on him.
And he's really sad.
And he's real sad. And they take Elliot hostage. They take Pete hostage.
And he's going, "Oh, yeah."
And he gets free, and then he saves the mayor, and the Gogans are run out of town because they've been tarred, and Doc Terminus is hanging upside down, and it's just a whole bunch of things where like they figured out how to make the pieces all connect, but none of it really makes sense when you examine it.
The end.
And then he fixes the lighthouse, and then everything's good.
And then Paul's alive, and they all live happily ever after.
and everyone in the town now knows that there's a dragon because they've all seen him with their eyeballs.
And also the fish have returned.
Right. Which is never explained.
I think the idea is that Elliot was scaring away the fish because he went to find Paul.
I guess so.
God only knows.
Blah. And then we get two reprisals. Reprisals?
Reprises.
Reprises.
Reprisal is like an argument.
Oh, okay. We get two reprises.
Yeah.
One is I saw a dragon, but now it's all of the
They're
town
saying,
going
"We
I
saw
saw a dragon.
We liked it."
And then of course we get a reprise of Brazzle Dazzle Day.
Oh my God.
And that's how the movie ends. And Elliot says goodbye to Pete. And
This is very sad.
this is the point where Pete basically goes, "What's that, boy? There's another kid who's in trouble. You're hearing him on the wind. Well, you better go save him, even though I'm real sad that I'm going to miss you, buddy."
Thanks, Lassie.
It's I could see that I feel like they were trying to set up a sequel or trying to at least create a story that was bigger than just this one story because it starts before we've even met them and it ends after because we know that Elliot's going to go off and have another experience with a child.
Another Brazzle Dazzle Day.
And then it's over. And then
It's
you
the
finally got to go to bed.
I was so tired.
Yeah.
I had to have whiskey to get me through it, and then I fell asleep.
I just want to say the things I like about this quickly.
Okay. Yes, you are more than welcome.
Everyone gives 100%.
Oh my God, you cannot quibble with the performances. They're very good.
Everyone's great in this. I think the songs, when they're good, are really fun.
Yes,
I think the effects are delightful.
they're okay.
I think Elliot looks amazing. He's real
He's cute. He's very cute.
That's about it. I said we were going to talk about him later, and now it's later. So what'd you think of Pete? What'd you think of Sean Marshall?
He's a cute little kid.
Yep.
He's got a lot of hair and a lot of teeth, as I said before.
Yep.
I questioned why, of all the child actors in all of the land in this Disney motion picture, they could not find a child who could sing. Because bless him, but his singing voice was not good.
No, he's very high and whispery.
No, it's
like he's
just
doing his best to hit the notes.
Any given note, he really took a minute or two to find the note. And it was not great. And I feel bad because, like, he was a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. It seems like you probably could have found a child with similar personality that could actually sing.
Unfortunately, most of the movie hinges on him and the performance that they got. Let's blame the director.
Yeah,
I don't even want to blame.
No, he's a little child.
Don't
He's
even
a
want to blame the
baby.
child. I want to blame the director.
I mean, how old? He couldn't have been more than, what, 11?
3?
No, honey. 11 or 12.
Right. But apart from him, and I don't blame him, the cast is great. Pacing in this movie, again, apparently I made you watch the extended version for some reason.
I hate you so much.
I know. I love you, though.
How could you do it to me?
It's too long. There's too many dance numbers and songs that don't mean anything.
It just
and
goes on forever.
it's a very, very long
It's
movie.
got like several false endings, much like The Lord of the Rings.
But I'm pretty sure every single one of those endings in The Return of the King is amazing. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. There are not too many endings in those movies. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Back to the Pete's Dragon. It's just the pacing problems are there. And while I understand that they made a shorter version of it, they still made this originally. And it's a problem. It's too long. It never bothered me as a kid for some reason, but like, oh my God. I can't imagine they made my parents watch this. I haven't talked to them about it.
Yeah, you should talk to your they might not remember.
I don't think they ever watched this with me.
Yeah, I would be shocked.
Like maybe they were present, but like
I can't imagine Larry watching this.
No, there were movies that they watched with me, and I don't think this was ever one of them. This is one of those movies where I do not feel bad about loving it when I was a kid because there's stuff in it that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend that anyone see it, especially kids, because it is made for kids.
Yes.
But it is flawed. And I think there's a much better version of this movie to be made.
Well, that's probably a good segue because in 2016 they did make another version.
Which I think is much better.
Would you like to read the back of the box?
I am going to read the back of the box. This is from 2016, also produced by Disney. This is very short.
Okay.
When a mysterious 10-year-old boy, Pete, turns up claiming to live in the woods with a giant green dragon, it's up to a forest ranger, Grace, and a young Natalie to learn where the boy came from, where he belongs, and the truth about this magical dragon. It's one sentence with a lot of commas.
Well, that's okay.
So right off the bat, holy shit, different.
It's not the same.
Like, okay. So Disney now for the last 10 years or so has been on this crazy kick of remaking all of their quote-unquote classic movies
Yes.
as live-action films.
Mm-hmm.
So we have seen some like Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast.
Well, we haven't seen them.
and the we the people. We the people have seen The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of them. We're getting The Lion King soon as well.
Is that true?
Yeah.
With animals or with people?
No, it's going to be like The Jungle Book. It's going to be like quote unquote live action. It'll be like photo real, but CGI.
Huh.
And James Earl Jones is going to play Mufasa, and
Oh.
Donald Glover is going to be Simba.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about this.
They're doing Aladdin right now. Will Smith is the genie.
What?
How are you not aware of this?
Because you read like movie blogs that I don't read.
Well, this is what you find out.
Well, there it is.
So they also remade Pete's Dragon.
They did.
And I think this new version of Pete's Dragon had the benefit of being based on a like quote unquote classic, not so much a classic.
Right. There I don't think anybody, I mean, I guess I could be wrong. Maybe somebody objected that they kind of changed the plot around, but I would be surprised if anybody did.
I think most people don't care.
Yeah.
Because they
That's
changed
kinda what I'm saying.
They changed the plot drastically.
Yeah, drastically.
If they did this for any of the other ones that I just mentioned, like people would be out in the streets. I just want to say one quick thing before we move on about kind of like the classic nature of Pete's Dragon.
Uh-huh.
It was from an era in Disney. I love this. I went to look at Disney Animation's Wikipedia page.
Okay.
And it's all divided into eras.
Okay.
And so this was made in 1977. So it's from the Disney Animation Studios era, 1967 to 1983.
Okay.
Here is the title of that section.
Okay.
Decline in popularity, Don Bluth's entrance and departure, quote unquote, rock bottom.
Oh no.
That's what this whole era was called.
Now that's before Don Bluth started the banana stand.
That was a different Bluth. Totally different Bluth.
Oh, okay.
Different person.
Because there's always money in the banana
Yeah,
stand.
I know. Don Bluth was like, he was the head of Disney Animation. He was the animation director for Pete's Dragon, and he went on. I've lost my co-host. She is on the floor having a fit because of her Arrested Development joke.
A show I've never seen.
Good job. Jeez. Just to give people a kind of an idea of Don Bluth, here are some other movies that he made after his departure from Disney: The Secret of NIMH, An American Tail, The Land Before Time, and all.
American Tail's a great movie.
I know Don Bluth is great.
Wait, I thought it was saying it was rock bottom.
No, this was after he left Disney.
Oh, okay. I guess I
The
wasn't paying
American Tail wasn't Disney.
Okay.
He made The Land Before Time, and he made All Dogs Go to Heaven.
All those great movies,
Those
every
are-
one of them.
He's great.
Except the one about dogs dying. I don't like that.
Well, but they're fine because they all go to heaven. This is a sore spot for us. Anyway, so basically, like I said, I think this new one had the benefit of being able to change a lot of stuff without needing to worry about the backlash.
Yeah.
And change stuff it did.
Indeed. Can I talk about the biggest change that I think they made?
Of course.
So in the original 1977 version, Elliot is a sweet, friendly dragon. He's so cute. He's adorable. He's just a little cute animated man. In this version, he's a fucking terrifying dinosaur. He's horrifying.
He's like a furry dinosaur dragon.
He's terrifying.
I still think he's adorable.
He's not adorable.
He's real
a
cute.
Scary man.
But they did that to a lot of things in this.
Yeah.
Like Elliot and Pete okay, so I feel like maybe a way to start with this is to talk about not what's different, but what's the same.
Okay.
Like, what characters from the original appear in the new one?
Well, there's a little boy named Pete.
Yep.
Who's best friends with a dragon.
Named
Elliot.
Elliot.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Like, I think there are some placeholders.
Yeah.
Like, Robert Redford is in this as Mr. Meacham.
As Mickey Rooney.
Like, he's Lampy. What did I say when we were watching it?
Well, you proposed a conversation between someone and Mickey Rooney in 1977 where someone said to Mickey Rooney, hey, do you know in 2016, only 2 years after your death, Mickey Rooney, they're going to remake this movie?
And he's going to go, wait, I die? And they're like, that's not important. I have a conversation I want to have with you.
With your part played by.
Wait, they're going to recast me?
Yeah.
There's going to be a new actor, but someone obviously older at that point, right?
Right. Robert Redford. And I'm just picturing Mickey Rooney going, the heartthrob, famously handsome. I'm just picturing like in 1977, someone getting this news that Robert Redford was going to be playing like the crazy old man.
Yeah. I mean, he does a great job, but I think Mickey Rooney's probably very sad in his grave about that.
Mickey Rooney is fine.
Yeah.
Let me say something about Robert Redford that I only recently discovered.
Yep.
Robert Redford is a very handsome man.
Oh, you just recently discovered this?
I did.
Do you have like a newfound appreciation for the handsomeness of Robert Redford in your
Yes.
in your mid 30s?
Yes, I would say so.
Mhm.
I would say that I enjoy looking at Robert Redford at any age.
I think that's I think that's what a lot of people feel.
His bone structure is fantastic.
He's famously handsome.
Famously handsome.
hmm
We got to do some more Robert Redford movies.
I'm fine with that.
That's great.
So, but he's ostensibly Lampy.
Yes.
They change the character completely,
Yeah.
but he still is that placeholder because he's the old man who saw a dragon
He's
that
the
no
old
one
man
believes.
who believes in dragons.
Right. And then there's his daughter.
Yes.
Who's, independent and intelligent.
Mhm.
And
She's a forest ranger.
and that's Grace,
Mhm.
who is played by Bryce Dallas Howard.
That's right.
Yeah, she's like the same placeholder as Nora is, but still a completely different character.
And she's not like pining for her lover. She lives
no,
with him.
one of the things I like is it really embraces non-traditional families.
Totally.
Like the main characters you have in the movie, you've got Grace and you have her boyfriend Jack, and you have his daughter Natalie.
Who's not her daughter, but who they clearly have a loving relationship.
Yeah, and that's the family.
Right.
And like Pete becomes part of that
And
family.
they're not married. Like it's clear that they're not.
Yeah.
Like they get married at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. No, it's great. And her dad is like also part of the family.
Yeah.
Like Robert Redford clearly has a relationship with the little girl as well.
Mhm.
Like they know each other,
Yeah.
which is nice. And
Yeah.
then her boyfriend Jack has a brother, Gavin,
Mhm.
who is the antagonist of the piece.
hmm
Yeah.
We'll talk about Gavin more in a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah.
Who is played, by the way, by famously handsome and delightful Carl Urban from like the new Star Trek movies and Dread and all manner of things. But I just like the relationships. I like the way the families are set up. So I just want to get it out of the way because I feel like I have a lot to say about this movie. But what'd you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I will say, I liked the way that they said it. So let me just talk really quickly about the premise because I think this is important.
Mhm.
So basically, the cold open is we have a little tiny Pete in the car with his parents going on a road trip. We don't really know where they're going. They say they're going on an adventure.
They're like somewhere in the Pacific
Somewhere
Northwest.
in the Pacific Northwest, and we were given to understand there's like no cars around. It's very deserted. No one's there. They get into a car accident, and Pete survives, and it is strongly implied that his parents do not. We don't see. There's nothing graphic about it, but
Oh, they're dead.
they're dead. He's alone in the woods.
Yeah.
And he's a tiny 4-year-old baby, and he meets a dragon
Mhm.
who saves him from a bear,
A bunch of wolves.
a bunch of wolves.
The bears later.
That's right. And then we have the credits, and then it's 6 years later, and Pete has been living in the woods with Elliot the dragon for
These 6 years.
these 6 years. So he's now like 10 years old.
Mhm.
We're given to understand, and this isn't on screen. We had to like double check Wikipedia for this, but the little prequel is in 1977, which means that the bulk of the movie is set in 1983. And I really liked that it was 1977 because I assume that's a tribute to the original movie, I guess.
I would assume so.
And there are also lots of reasons why you would want it to be set prior to modern technology that we'll get into in a second. But this is what I was kind of trying to come to, which is the aesthetic of Pacific Northwest 1983 was extremely appealing to me. Everyone was in flannel, denim, like sheepskin, and vests.
Yep.
And it was great, and I would wear any item of clothing that was in this movie.
Looks super cozy.
Yeah, it looked amazing. And all of their houses looked very cozy. They all had fireplaces. They're all out in like the woods. I don't like going out in the woods, but I would wear a lot of plaid and flannel if I was asked to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I did enjoy that. It was a cozy feeling movie.
Yeah. So I asked you if you enjoyed it. Do you think it's a good movie?
I do think it's a good children's movie.
Okay. This is where I think we differ a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really good movie.
Yeah.
Just all around a really good movie. If we're just judging it as a kids movie, I think it's a great kids movie.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that I think it has crossover appeal because I, as an adult watching it, was like, my brain was definitely poking holes in the plot in a way that I don't think I do with, say, like some Pixar movies that are really more equally geared to both adults and kids, for example, which we can get into in a second. But I think it was a good kids movie. I think it was enjoyable. I think its heart was in the right place. I think everybody that was involved with it was clearly committed to it. I don't feel like it was cynical. I just didn't feel like it was a great movie that adults could enjoy on the same level as kids.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, I know.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I loved it, but I also appreciate that. I think it's just one of these movies that hits the right buttons for me.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I had a really intense emotional reaction to it, but it's not going to be one of those movies that is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I just think it's so well made.
Yeah.
I think it's, like you said, it's not cynical.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really honest movie. I think it's really well written. I think it is executed really consistently and really kind of respectfully of the audience.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like talking down to the audience. But like here's an example. Like, as we were watching it, I found myself distracted because I was wondering about like the language acquisition of feral children.
Right.
And I said to you, just so you know, I understand this is a movie with a big fucking dragon. Like, I'm not expecting it to be 100% realistic, but like, if it was a movie that was really taking me out of myself and really like plunging me into it, and I was on the edge of my seat, I wouldn't be sitting there going, I'm not convinced he'd be able to talk that well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's where I think it is a kids movie.
Yeah.
I just think it is a great kids movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think a kids movie needs to answer things like
No,
that.
I don't either. I'm just saying, like, I was distracted by it.
Right. But I really appreciate, too, that a kids movie was making you think of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that they thought about that.
To be fair, I'm fascinated by feral children, so I perhaps was a little bit more interested in that than in the plot of the movie, whereas perhaps someone else would have been more into the movie than what... The thing that I was really curious about was what happens with language acquisition in a feral child that has already attained the language skills of like a 4-year-old, because the really fascinating thing is that we know from the feral children that have been encountered that the window for language acquisition is kind of smaller than you think.
Yeah.
And if it passes, you literally, your brain just, you actually can't do it. It's not possible. And so I was curious what would happen if you like got up to the level of a 4-year-old. Like, would you totally regress, or would you retain the language skills that you had as a 4-year-old? In this case, it seemed that he actually had made gains in his language skills because he was speaking and reading and talking like a reasonable 10-year-old, which I think is very unrealistic. Again, it's a movie with a huge dragon. I understand that completely.
Yep.
But it made me curious about what the actual scientific fact of the matter would be.
Yeah. It would not surprise me. I didn't see anything about this. It would not surprise me if they did consider those things when they were making it.
I believe that they did.
But made the decision to push them aside.
No, from some things that were in the movie, I actually am fairly sure that they did, because I think they took a lot of care with a lot of things in this movie.
And that's the thing about this movie that I think I can't say about the original is I think the new one is thoughtful.
Yes.
I think so. It was written by a guy named David Lowery, who did a couple other movies. He did a movie called Ain't Them Bodies Saints. He did a movie called A Ghost Story. He also has a new movie that's coming out called The Old Man and the Gun, which is actually going to be Robert Redford's last movie.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah.
Because we watched the trailer for that movie, and that was where I was like, oh, Robert Redford's a handsome man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am so excited about
And
it.
it had a really good song in it, too.
Yeah, I like this director.
Yeah.
And so he directed it. He also co-wrote it. So his name's David Lowery. He co-wrote it with a guy named Toby Halbrooks. They've worked together before. And it's one of these things where this was his idea. He wrote and directed this.
Yeah.
And I think was given the freedom to make whatever he wanted. It really seemed like Disney was just kind of fine with it. I think at the end of the day, this didn't need to be Pete's Dragon. This could have been a totally different story with a few minor changes that would have really divorced it from the original. But Disney was like, well, no, we got to remake Pete's Dragon because we got to remake all of our stuff. This is one of those ones where I think a lot of other people can have very strong opinions about whether like the new Jungle Book is better than the original, or certainly whether the new Beauty and the Beast is better than the original. We'll probably end up talking about it at some point.
Totally.
This is one where I feel completely comfortable saying this is a better movie than the original.
Oh, it's a better movie. Yeah, it is a better movie.
In almost every way. So I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
In terms of what this movie does, what it adds, and what it changes.
Yeah.
So in the original, we already talked about Pete and Elliot being very different.
Yes.
In this one, like, how would you characterize the differences between Pete in this one versus Pete in the original?
Well, a couple things. I would say he's a lot more distrustful of people because he's been living out in the woods by himself, but he's also like weirdly fascinated by them, which is what brings him into contact with them in the first place. But the other thing that you pointed out that I thought was really interesting is he's not like striding into town going, yeah, my dragon, I have a dragon, an invisible dragon. He actually doesn't know that Elliot's a dragon.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
I love that part.
He doesn't know what a dragon is.
Multiple times through this new movie, characters ask him, so what's Elliot? He keeps talking about Elliot.
He's just like, yeah, he's my friend.
Yeah. And they're like, but what is he? And they're like, what do you mean? He's my friend. And then he finally draws a picture of him.
Yeah.
And like Bryce Dallas Howard's character realizes that he looks like an illustration that her dad did.
Because her dad has seen the dragon.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. By the end of the movie, we realize maybe he didn't actually see Elliot.
Yeah.
Because there are other
Oh,
dragons.
there's other dragons. Right.
Yeah. But she realizes that he's a dragon.
Right.
And there's also a lot of folklore in this town about dragons.
There's like a song about the dragons.
Quick sidebar.
Yeah.
The director talked about this being a musical because they did one scene where Gavin, the bad guy, is in the woods with his like woodsman friends and they're
Yeah.
hunting Elliot, and they all start singing the town's dragon song. And he was like, that was going to be our big musical number. And they cut it from the movie.
Okay.
Which I thought was funny.
That's probably good.
So, but yeah, I agree with all of those things.
Yeah.
He's very different.
Yeah.
So that brings us to Elliot.
Yes.
How would you characterize the differences between Elliot in this one versus Elliot in the
Well,
old one?
I believe I already mentioned it, which is that Elliot in the old one is cute and goofy.
Yep.
And Elliot in this one
And
is
very human.
And very human. And Elliot in this one is a fucking terrifying monster.
He can be. He's a wild animal.
He is a wild animal.
He certainly loves Pete,
Yes.
but he is like an animal, unpredictable.
He is a dinosaur.
Yeah. Like in the original one, Pete tells people like, no, Elliot's great. He's my friend. He understands everything I say. Like, he's great. But in this one, even Pete says to them, he's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like he is an animal.
Yeah.
And he does some things that are things that an animal would do.
Yeah. Especially like he gets captured and he's like flailing and like kind of lashing out with his tail, and like he actually does put the children in danger, not through any fault of his own, but like because if an animal is trapped, it's going to swing its tail and bite, and it doesn't really know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Like it's very the scenes where he was like trapped and scared and hurt were very upsetting for me, actually, because he's actually much less like a dog than Elliot from the 1977 version. But I just kept thinking about like, what if my dog was like trapped and scared
Yeah.
and hurt somewhere?
And
it was really upsetting to
I
me.
think that's a testament to how good a job they did about making him an animal.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job with Elliot.
Yeah.
I love. See, that's the thing. Elliot's one of those ones where like I love Elliot in the old one as much as I love him in the new one, but I think they're pretty different. So my next question is about the supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
So in the original one, you have the concerned family.
Yes.
Nora and Lampy.
Yes.
In this one, they expand on that
Right.
because we have Grace, we have her dad, we also have Jack and Natalie.
Yes.
So what are your feelings about them as a unit? I talked a little bit before about how like I like them as a non-traditional family unit, but what are any other thoughts that you have about them?
Well, I mean, they even talk about it in the movie, which is like the reason that they kind of let Pete stay with them is, well, maybe being around a kid his own age will be good for him. And the nice thing about him talking to Natalie about his dragon is she's like, oh, you have a dragon? Like, she's a kid. So she's not immediately like shutting down the idea of him having lived with a dragon. And she's explaining to him about what dragons are and like the difference between real and imaginary friends. And there's a really sweet scene where she says, is he your imaginary friend? And he says, I don't know what that means. And she's explaining the difference between real and imaginary. And he says, oh, are you my imaginary friend? She says, no, I'm real. And he says, oh, Elliot's real too.
Yeah.
Like, that's really sweet. I love that scene.
I love it too because they definitely are played as not the same age.
Yeah.
She definitely,
She's a little older.
Yeah, she definitely plays as like an older sister to his younger brother.
Yeah.
And I think that makes their relationship more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in a lot of movies like this, maybe in a more simplistic kids movies, the kids have to be the same age. That meet for the first time.
Yeah,
because
like
it's the only way to explain that they would ever have any kind of relationship.
Yeah, but she's like at least 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's very protective of him.
Yes.
And really cares about him and wants him to stay there. Like, she's kind of between him and her parents in terms of wanting what's best for him. Like, what she wants for him is not as sophisticated as what her parents want because they're adults.
Right.
But she still wants the best for him and wants to protect him.
Yes.
I think Natalie is one of the best changes that this movie makes. Because in the old one, like, do you get to know any other children other than Pete?
There are a bunch of children,
Tons
but
of them.
they're all they're literally like singing in unison and dancing in lockstep.
Yeah. Like, this gives us better new characters.
Yeah, totally.
And she's one of my favorite parts of the movie. I think she is amazing in it. I think Una Lawrence is great.
These kids have amazing names.
Oaks Fegley and Una Lawrence play
ridiculous.
Pete and Natalie.
That's ridiculous.
They're both fantastic.
No, they're very good.
They're so good. I think the cast is amazing. We also, I mean, like, the other thing about it too is it takes like the romantic lead, like not the romantic lead, but the romantic interest for like the Nora character. He's actually active in it now. He's a character in it.
He's a character in it.
He's not just a placeholder,
Like,
and we get to see their relationship.
Elliot doesn't have to do anything for her. She is there to help Elliot and Pete.
That's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of different arcs that happen in the course of this movie.
Yeah.
And the arc that happens for Grace, for Bryce Dallas Howard's character, doesn't really have anything to do with Pete. What happens with her is all about her relationship with her dad.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is he would like her to be a little less down to earth and to see a little more magic in the world.
Right.
And by the end of the movie, she does.
Yes.
But that's about their relationship.
Yeah.
Like, her arc is not caring for Pete.
Right.
She cares for him immediately.
Yeah, she's a very caring person.
Yeah.
And her arc is not like being reunited with her lost love. Like, she lives with her boyfriend at the beginning, and by the end they do get married.
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of how it is.
There is a nice little thing at the end about like her growing relationship with Natalie.
Yeah.
Like a tiny little moment that's really nice. There's a lot of nice touches throughout the movie that I think are really thoughtful that I can't get into all of them, but I will say the movie's full of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really, really thoughtful moments. So let's talk about the antagonists now. Let's talk about the villains. In the original,
Yes.
how many antagonists are there?
Oh my God, like so many. So there's the Gogans, there's 4 of them.
Right.
And then there's the 2
There's Doc Terminus and
charlatans.
Hoagie.
So that's 6.
I would say 5.5.
Yeah.
Because Hoagie's not, like Hoagie, we like Hoagie.
He's fine.
So there's 5.5. How many of them are there? How many antagonists are there in the new one?
Well, there's 1 and like his crew.
But really
Just the one, because they just do what he tells them to.
So this is Gavin.
Yeah. And he's Jack's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say he is the antagonist, but not a villain.
No.
And that's something that I really liked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I really enjoyed about Gavin is the number of things that he does that make it clear that he is like the hero of his own story, like
Right.
any good villain. There's a moment where he sees the dragon in the woods and he's like terrified, and they've been chasing it, and they get into kind of a fight and they escape, and he shows up on his brother's doorstep going, I don't remember the exact line, but it's something to the effect of, Jack, the stories, they're true. And you think it's gonna be a big like dun dun dun, and like if he were the hero, there would be this like amazing like the music would swell and like the camera would pan and whatever, and then you just get the shot of Jack going, "What are you talking about?" Like he thinks he's drunk and an idiot.
Right.
And then there's this other amazing moment at the very end where
Can I set it up for a second?
yeah, set it up.
So basically, they've captured Elliot. He and his crew have tranked Elliot, and it's that really harrowing scene you were talking about before where they tie him up and everything.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of things happen. Essentially, what we're left with is Elliot is on the back of a flatbed, an 18-wheeler,
Escaping.
being driven by famously handsome Robert Redford.
And two children.
And two children, two tiny children. They're driving towards a bridge, and ahead of them is Gavin and his crew with the pickup truck.
Because they've created a blockade.
Right.
To try to get them to stop.
Yeah. And this entire time, Gavin is going like, well, this is a wild animal that I've caught. This is my dragon.
And I own it, and I'm going to make a lot of money.
Right. And he doesn't quite know how. Like, there's a great moment
Yeah.
where Robert Redford says, like, okay, you got him. What are you going to do with him?
And he's like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with him.
And he has no idea
He's
what
no
he's going to
idea.
do with him.
Yeah.
I think Gavin's a delightful character.
He's great.
I think he's so funny.
He redeems himself.
I think he's really funny, but he's also threatening.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely is a threat.
So,
But there's this moment where the 18-wheeler is barreling down towards them.
because the dragon cut the brakes by accident, so they actually can't stop.
But they don't know that yet.
Well, right. They don't know
Because they
that yet.
try to stop. And Gavin, basically, you see this moment where he goes, I know how to solve this. And then this happens.
This is like shot for shot something out of X-Men. He like stands in front of his own truck that's blockading the bridge, and he sets his feet shoulder width apart, and he squares his shoulders, and he puts out his hand in like the stop gesture.
It's basically the like body language equivalent of you shall not pass.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the truck just keeps barreling down because the brakes are cut. They cannot stop.
Yep.
And basically they all freak the fuck out and have to dive off the side of the bridge to save their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this amazing thing where he's like, stop.
I know what to do.
Yeah, and they cannot stop, and they do not stop.
He's one of my favorite characters in the whole thing.
But he's not. The thing is, he's like he's got so many layers. He's not evil, but he's not good.
No.
But he's not, and he's goofy in these ways that we're describing, but he's not ridiculous. He's not like Gaston.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Where he has this incredibly inflated sense of himself. Because at the end, Jack and again, like the bridge is on fire because the dragon is freaking out and set fire to the bridge.
Because he's a wild animal.
Because he's a wild animal, and Jack and Grace are in a pickup truck that is like falling off of the broken bridge, and Gavin just screams like Jack, and he's like trying to pull the truck up because of course it's his brother. Like he doesn't want his brother to die.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a bad person. He doesn't want his brother to be hurt or harmed. Like he's just a little bit selfish and wants to kill a dragon for money.
Yeah. This leads to the denouement, which is one of my favorite moments in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because of the story that the director and the writers have set up.
Yeah.
And this is where I think this movie is so much more thoughtful than the original.
Yeah.
Because again, the original's denouement is just the wick's out for the lighthouse and only the dragon can light it.
Yeah.
And there's really just kind of one thing happening.
Yeah.
But in this one, Elliot has caused the bridge to start to collapse. He realizes what he's done. The truck is falling through.
Oh, just to be clear, he realizes what he's done because Pete has this sort of intense moment with him where he says, I love these people. Don't hurt them. I need them.
Oh, yeah. He says, I need them.
I need them.
Mm-hmm.
And Elliot understands that.
Right.
Yeah.
But he can't save them in time.
Yeah.
And the truck falls through the bridge and Elliot goes down, falling after them.
Much like the Balrog.
Yep. Into the fog. And it's maybe my favorite moment in the entire movie just because of it feels so simple on its surface, because if you just say what's happening is, well, some of the characters have fallen and the other characters are watching.
And think they're dead.
But because of the story and because that's been set up and because of all the relationships with the characters that have been set up, every single character who's looking is thinking about a different person who's fallen.
Yeah.
So like Gavin and Natalie are looking down, clearly thinking about Jack.
Yeah.
And Mr. Meacham is looking down, clearly thinking about Grace.
Who's his daughter.
And Pete is looking down, thinking about Elliot.
Right.
And it's so complex. And it happens because all these tracks have kind of intersected.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Elliot rises up out of the fog. He's got them on his back. And that's why it's maybe my favorite moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just, again, so much more thoughtful and interesting than the original.
Yeah. Yeah. I would totally agree with that.
Now, before we move on, I think this is a good point to talk about, because we've talked about all the characters.
Yeah.
I think it is a good point to talk about Sir not appearing in this film.
Do you have a nominee?
I do, because as we've already said, there's a number of characters that don't show up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to nominate my favorite character from the original who does not appear in any form in this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I nominate Doc Terminus. I think he's a goddamn delight. I think he's super funny. I always enjoyed him in the original. And there is, other than Gavin's kind of desire to profit off Elliot.
Yes.
Other than that, there's no similarity between him and Doc Terminus.
No, I would agree with that. And the funny thing is, like, if they had wanted to have a Doc Terminus, they could have probably gotten Jim Dale. He's still alive and working.
Totally.
Yeah, which would be really funny.
That would have been a super weird kind of throwback to the original.
Yeah.
It would have been very strange.
But they did not do that, and he is not appearing in this film.
There we are. So as far as the story goes, I don't really have much else to say about it.
No.
I kind of don't want to ruin it because I think it's a movie that's based on moments, and I think it's full of really, really wonderful moments.
Yeah, like, as a whole, the way that they took this movie, this really goofy movie from 1977, and went, okay.
Wait, literally goofy. Like when Doc Terminus flies out through the ceiling because the stupid, like, harpoon caught on his pants and dragged him out.
It's very...
It's the goofy scream.
It's very...
It's literally the goof. I'm going to play it. That happens. Like,
Yeah.
it's literally goofy. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Continue.
fine. And someone who was thoughtful clearly took a look at this and said, what's real about this? And they said, oh, the relationship between the boy and his dragon, that's real.
Mhm.
Everything else we can scrap.
Yep.
And I applaud them for it. Like, it was great.
Well, also in the relationship between people.
Between people. Yeah.
Because in the original, Pete does form this new relationship with Nora and Lampy.
Yeah. But they're like totally different characters.
And he also trusts them immediately.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, they're totally different characters. So everything else has to spring out of, okay, what is the sort of realism behind what relationship this boy would have had with his dragon living in the woods and not seeing any people.
Mhm.
And while I might have some quibbles with the actual scientific realism of his language
Still a big
acquisition,
dragon.
it's still a big dragon. And I think they actually did do a really good job of, like, he's not instantly trusting of people.
Mhm.
He like howls when he's sad. He does exhibit these behaviors of, like, being an animal and having been raised by animals since he was little.
Do you know what the original... I actually forgot about this, but I suddenly remembered what the original really reminded me of. It reminded me of, like, Pollyanna.
Yeah,
Where,
well,
like-
that's also a Disney movie.
Yeah, like where Pete and Elliot don't actually have an arc. They're there in the story so that other characters can have arcs.
Yeah.
And other characters can learn from them.
Mhm.
But that makes them not compelling as main characters.
Yeah.
Because literally the two titular characters, Pete and the dragon, they're fun, and Elliot's compelling because he's cute, but they're not actually interesting. Whereas in the new one, the main characters of the story are Pete and his dragon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say, if you haven't read the book Pollyanna and have only seen the movie,
Which I haven't.
there's a little more complexity to it, which maybe we'll talk about in a future episode.
Okay, that's fair.
But I do think that's a really good point.
Yeah, that was what I got from the movie.
Yeah.
But maybe we should do that at some point.
Yeah.
But that's what I have to say about the story. I really think it's special. I think it's thoughtful. And it's just, I will go to my grave saying that it's a better movie than the original.
I don't think you need to be that dramatic about
Yeah.
it. Like, it's definitely a better movie.
And there's also a whole bunch of little things that I think make it better
Yeah.
and more interesting. One thing is this, the runtime. It runs a trim hour and 40 minutes.
It's great.
It's a perfectly appropriate length for this story.
It's fantastic.
The
And it had no songs.
Well, no, that was the last thing that I wanted to talk about.
There it is.
It does have some songs. And the first song is called The Dragon Song,
Mhm.
which is performed by Bonnie Prince Billy.
Yes.
And it's, I think, a perfect way to have music in it because it serves a couple of purposes. It's really good and evocative for the timing of the movie and the place of the movie and kind of the mystical aspects of it, the magical aspects of it. But it also serves a narrative purpose because the song exists in the world of the movie.
Right. It is sung by the child.
Right. And it's sung by the town. Like the town all know about it.
Yeah.
It's local folklore.
Yeah.
So that I think works much better because it's not really, it doesn't exist as a song the way songs in musicals normally do.
Right.
It literally is part of the plot.
It's diegetic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other little songs that happen throughout the movie. I just really appreciate the movie's use of songs, but they're songs on a soundtrack. They're not musical.
Yeah.
Now, though, on the soundtrack for the 2016 Pete's Dragon,
Yes.
there is a final track that does not appear in the movie. I don't know if you've heard of this song. It's called Candle on the Water.
Oh boy, here it is.
Now, it's not performed by Helen Reddy.
Oh no.
It's performed by Ockerville River,
Okay.
who's a very good band. Very, very good.
They're good boys.
I like their stuff a lot. And I played for you the cover.
I enjoyed it.
It's really good.
It's definitely like the style of music that you and I enjoy.
I'm going to play just a quick comparison of the original and the new one.
I'll be your candle on the water till every wave is warm and bright. My soul is.
So that was the original. Here's the
Different style. It's certainly a far distinct style.
I dig it though.
No, it's great.
Do you know who doesn't?
The internet?
A whole bunch of people on the internet. Now, I just looked up the soundtrack on iTunes and I found all the reviews and I sorted by most critical.
Oh God.
I'm going to read some of these.
I don't know why we're giving these people our time.
I'm not going to name them.
Okay.
1 star. These are all 1 star. They go straight from 1 star to 4 stars.
Okay.
Horrible. What kind of crazy candle on the water is that? Sounds like a dying cat, not at all like Pete's Dragon. Death of a classic. This is a new one. Death of a classic. I understand that this is a new movie for a new age. However, where is some of the Disney spirit, as in the original score and soundtrack? This is just brutal. Depressing, really. And Candle on the Water sounds, well, I can't even listen to it. It's that bad. Horrible collection. Next one. This totally ruined the song. The worst cover of any song I have ever heard.
What the?
Candle on the Water could be such a beautiful piece of music, and this is just awful. Here's another one. Could have been better. This movie, still 1 star. Could have been better. This movie is great, no question, but the music, Candle on the Water, was trashed. They should have at least used a few of the more popular classics from the original, even if they were only used as part of the soundtrack. The Jungle Book is a great example of reusing the classics.
What are they going to reuse? Brazzle Dazzle Day?
God damn it. If that showed up in this, I would not feel the same way about this movie that I did about the original, or that I did about the one we got.
Or I Saw a Dragon?
Ugh. Candle on the Water cover. Wow, someone took a dump all over that song.
Jesus.
Hopefully, Ockerville River never records anything ever again.
They're great.
And then we go to a 4-star review.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Okay, so if you were hanging your expectations on getting a new and beautiful update of the lovely Candle on the Water, you will likely be disappointed.
What?
Whereas the original was a poignant little ballad of friendship, hope, and loyalty, the remake is dirge-like and funereal. It doesn't, however, feature in the film, fortunately. 4 stars.
I'm done with people. I'm done. Goodbye, cruel worlds.
Fuck
this earth.
So, wrapping up, what are our feelings of the original?
Everyone we saw on screen was doing their goddamn best.
Yep. I think the effects are great. I think the people in it are great.
The dragon's very cute.
Super cute. I think it's a goddamn lark.
Yes.
And it's, I think, delightful, if not super, super flawed. And it's the kind of movie where if you have kids and they want to watch it, unless it already means a lot to you,
Maybe watch the new one.
you might leave the room while they're watching
Yeah,
it.
why not?
But then we get the new one.
Mhm.
I think this is something that works on every level. I think it works for kids. I think it works for grown-ups. Maybe not everyone. It's not like a stone cold classic, but I really liked it.
Yeah, full disclosure, like I did not love it as much as Jeremy did, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
I feel like we have different relationships with sense of wonder in movies.
That's fair.
So let's do some quadrants.
Yeah, so I guess the first one we are treating as an original work, despite being based on an unpublished short story that we have not read.
Like it's technically based on an unpublished short story that I'm pretty sure Disney owned, so it's not really based on anything.
All right, so we can't speak of the first one.
Now, I have a thought about where the new one stands on the quadrants.
Okay.
Do you think David Lowery and the other creators of this movie cared about the original?
I think that they found something to care about, and that's what sort of led them in the direction that they went. But I guess I would say that I think if they had cared about it more, if they had had sort of more treasured childhood memories of it, they probably would have attempted to be a little more faithful to the original. So I'm going to say I'm not sure they did care in the sense of we really need to stay true to the original.
I agree. I
Yeah.
don't think they cared.
Yeah.
Like, I think they wanted to make a good movie.
I think that, as I said before, I think they found something to care about.
Yeah. But I think they made a good movie.
I think so too.
So I think this is an upper right.
Yeah.
They didn't care, but they made a good movie.
Yeah, I'm on it.
All right. Well, this has been Adapter Parish. If you'd like to find us online, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AdaptCast. And if you tweet about the show, don't forget to use the AdaptCast hashtag. You can join our groups on Facebook and Goodreads, and you can also find and follow me on Letterboxd. If you have anything to say that's longer than a tweet, you can always send an email to adapterparishcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the show, there are 2 great ways you can do it. First, tell a friend. Second, a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice would always be greatly appreciated.
Have a brazzle dazzle day.
It is goddamn Brazzle Dazzle Day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.